Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Communities Live here at Sheffield Live 93.2 FM. And we have filmmaker Alastair Train. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chris. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to, chat to you about the film.
And thank you for joining me today. And you know what? It's a great film, and I can't wait to talk more about it. And but first of all, I want to get a bit of background. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. 33 years old, writer director. I work full time at a film school, helping the younger generations bring their film dreams alive. And yeah, I guess I've always had an interest in sort of storytelling, whatever that might be, through that things like video games or short stories. But I was really first drawn to like film properly. I mean, except for when, growing up with like Star Wars and stuff on VHS. But it was actually watching The Thing for the first time, the John Carpenter film with my uncle up in Scotland. I'd snuck up my room. It was like 2 in the morning, and he was like, "Oh, come watch it with me, lad." And you were talking about nightmares earlier. Yeah, it definitely gave me a few. But also, it just stuck with me how amazing, like the obviously the prosthetics, but like the tone,
Yeah,
the feel of the movie, and it kind of just opened my eyes up to like the kind of stories you can tell with film.
yeah.
I'd say that was sort of the real spark for me.
And I've got to say, John Carpenter, I mean, what a legend he is. And
Oh
I've
yeah,
got to say, that's my first ever horror film that I've seen as well, I think. I mean, and I've always remember when we were testing well, spoilers for people who haven't seen the film, but
yeah,
when we were testing the blood out and the blood just jumped out of you, I was like, that actually freaked me out. But
yeah.
it was so clever how they've done it, and you don't get many films like that now, unfortunately, which is a shame, really.
It is. I mean, I feel like body horror, like specifically as a genre, is kind of coming back. You've got things like Together, The Substance, like they're becoming more and more popular. But you're right, like actual practical effects and just something about that time in the 80s for the
Yeah.
horror was just perfect.
It was, and I mean, it's like I also remember, and I'm talking about, I think it was about 1970s. This film, it was The Exorcist. I mean,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
all-time classic, and I mean, when she did that spider walk on the stairs, I mean, that gave me nightmares for life. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say,
Well, I think the great thing about a film like that as well is it was also a great film. Like it was shot
yeah,
amazingly, great performances. And I feel kind of horror, I don't mean in general, because I feel like it's starting to improve again, but I went through a weird period of just like how much blood, gore, sex, and violence can we get on screen rather than still tell an interesting story.
yes.
Which, yeah, yeah.
I get what you mean. I mean, it's like I bet it's. I can't imagine how difficult it must be to come up with an idea and then put it all together as a concept and then film it all together. And I mean, it must take a really long time to put
Oh,
together.
yeah. I mean, honestly, if I just to say, talk about Pearl specifically, I probably had the idea 2 or 3 years ago in terms of like the actual first draft of the script and the concept. And then we didn't film it till 2024. So, these things take so much time, and a lot of that's down to, obviously when you write and direct, it's also you want to get the best draft of the script. You're always fixing that up to your shoot, but it's also meeting the right people. I really wouldn't have made this film if I hadn't met the production designer, the guy who created all the oyster goodies
Yeah.
in the movie.
I mean, it's such an interest. I want to talk to you more about that later on in the show as well.
Sure.
I mean, it's such a great short film, and but I want to say, I mean, who are your main influences? I mean, we mentioned John Carpenter, but I also want to talk about if there was anybody who you want to work with in the near future, who would it be and why?
Oh God, already one of the hardest questions. In a lot of ways, I'd say someone like not that I'd actually say someone like David Cronenberg in a way. I feel a lot of the shorts I did before were kind of more comedy with bits of horror, but
Yeah,
he was the director who I watch who managed to sort of combine drama with grotesque imagery,
yeah,
but also have like a really deep meaning behind it. And I feel he'd just be such an amazing and inspiring person to work with. I mean, look, there's so many you could say like Peter Jackson. I love Lord of the Rings when I
yeah,
grew up. That was one of my favorite. But also he did a load of body horror movies before. If I had to pick someone who was dead, like someone like Kubrick, like the amount of preparation that went into all his projects. it would be hard for me to say like one person, being honest, but
Sure.
Cronenberg definitely some for me. I mean, this is from Videodrome, and he's a real influence on me.
And The Fly as well. I mean, that's
And The Fly, yeah, of
you know,
course,
old time classic, The Fly. I mean,
yeah.
Jeff Goldblum. I mean, yeah, it's definitely one of the greatest horror films out there.
Oh yeah, and I think that's it. It's like all these films, and I feel like that's the special thing to me about Cronenberg anyway. It's like his films are commenting on modern society, even though what most people will remember is, oh, the way he turned into a fly. That's so disgusting. But it's what he's saying around the film that's so interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I also want to mention. I'm not. He's not necessarily a horror film maker, but I'm going to say James Cameron as well with a
Yeah,
Terminator, because I mean, the first ever Terminator film. I mean, a lot of people will say that it's not actually a horror, but it kind of is in a way,
yeah.
because
I mean,
you've got like body horror, because you got like a skin wearing
yeah,
robot, and he's cutting his eyes out, he's cutting
yeah.
pieces of his flesh off, and you can't say that's not horror. You know what I mean? I mean that's one of the most scariest films I've ever watched when I was a
Even the
kid.
concept, like a man killing machine from the future sent back to kill you,
Yeah,
like that's a horror film.
exactly.
Obviously it's got big action beats, and you can go into Terminator 2 where it is action, but there's still tense moments, there's scary moments, and I'd definitely agree. I mean, Aliens, I love Alien, that's
Yeah,
definitely up there,
great
but for
film.
James Cameron, Aliens. I think, funnily enough, that was the one I watched first out of the two. And like the bit where they go into the hive, where they crash through, and like the commander,
Yeah,
everyone starts dying and he starts getting more and more worried. Like that's a great horror movie moment.
yeah.
And no, definitely James Cameron deserves to be up there.
I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, at first I thought when I saw the original Alien film,
Mm,
and I mean, when Ridley Scott did it, it provided the right amount of tension, horror, and when we saw the first face hugger, when he
yeah.
attached himself to John Hurt, I think his name was,
Yeah, it is John Hurt. Yeah.
and then we had the chest burst after
Yeah.
that. It's like, how can you top that for a sequel? And it's like, and James Cameron actually did it, and I mean, but he didn't do it. He did, like you say, there was some horror elements to it, but it was more action orientated. And to be honest, I thought I wasn't sure it was going to work from
Yeah.
being a horror film straight to an action film, but it actually did.
Yeah, 100%. And I think he made the right move there. Like it'll be have been so easy just to copy what Ridley Scott did and have here's another monster stalking you film. But upping the scale, yeah, it obviously gave it that great action edge that you wanted. But like you said, he didn't lose the horror, like the brushes of horror over the film. And
Yeah.
it's honestly one of the best in my opinion. Same with Terminator 2. It's probably my favorite sequel.
Yeah, and I mean, because it's very rare that a sequel um, actually gets better, because something. I mean, there's a lot of sequels that wasn't very good, or it was just on par with with the
Original.
original. But a lot of people sequels don't really get to do that in my eyes. Unfortunately, we've got 10 minutes left because I've just my Zoom call's just sort of gone and got 10 minutes. So
That's all right.
unfortunately, I haven't got much time. But I want to talk to you about pearls.
Yeah,
So I
please.
mean, how did the concept come together? How long did it take to put together?
So yeah, from getting the initial idea, that was probably about 3 years ago. Like the initial idea, it was as simple as basically my dad was in Scotland with my youngest brother. They'd just done a walk. They wanted to celebrate with a plate of oysters. One of them, and these are the words my brother used, was very thick and very foamy. And I was like, that already sounds awful. And my dad, being the good dad, was like, well, you better eat it, which he did. He said it was disgusting. He was almost sick. But afterwards, I was like, what is a big, thick, foamy oyster? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah,
So basically, what it turns out is he ate a fertile oyster. So the foam was, I could leave it to your imagination, but let's just say oyster eggs. And he ate a mouthful of it. And I was just horrified. I was like, that is so disgusting, whatever the hell. That's just so awful. But then, so I had the idea of like, okay, I want to have an oyster creature of some kind. Why do people eat oysters? Well, a lot of the time they're sort of known as aphrodisiacs. Okay, cool. So there's my angle. A guy can't get it up, so he's eating oysters, which leads to this consequence. And as I was looking up more and more about aphrodisiacs in general for the film, I just noticed my Facebook, my social media, I was starting to get bombarded with take this pill, you can't get it up. Take this pill, it will fix you. You're going bald. Have this pill, it will fix you.
Mhm.
Um, have you got low testosterone? Here's another pill. Why not just take it? And I just got me thinking about how, you don't know what any of this stuff really is. It's not prescribed to you by a doctor. It's sold online.
Sure.
And also they basically what they're doing is targeting, and it obviously impacts women as well, of course, but they're targeting people's vulnerabilities. It's if you're dealing with something like impotency, being told there's a magic pill that can fix it all, it's targeting what your like I mentioned, your vulnerabilities. And sort of
Yes.
the film shifted there from it's no longer a story about someone who just turns to an oyster. It's sort of about how men, specifically in this instance, instead of opening up to people or like, in the film, his wife or a doctor or anybody, he acting like the toxic man that he is,
Yeah.
buys these oysters, which leads him down this path. And it's not about sort of the choice he makes in himself who he hurts. It's how his choices hurt everyone else around him.
Yeah. And I mean, I've also noticed that in the film you have an actor who was also played DI Jim Carver in the bill. So
I
tell us a
do.
bit about how you managed to get him on board.
Well, honestly, it was. I wish I could tell you it was this super complicated negotiation. It was super difficult, but we'd already cast the Rory and Helen to play the leads, and every other actor we auditioned was a bit arch for the villain Marvin. Everyone was a bit over the top, a bit like I'm the evil guy. But we were looking up sort of Mark's like not his self taste, but his show reel. We'd obviously known what he'd done on the bill. We'd known what he'd done on. He was also in Quadrophenia, so we knew kind of his range.
Sure.
And then we sent in the script, and we just had a chat with him, and just everything that I'd imagined about the character. Marvin is also someone who's haunted. He's not just evil. He's also desperate, and Mark just managed to have that restraint where he knew let a little bit of villainy out, but not everything. So basically, after that chat, he was just on board. And honestly, it was such a pleasure to work with him. He was so good, knew exactly what we needed. Just a great actor.
And I mean, the film is about around roughly nearly 20 minutes long, just about under
Yeah.
20 minutes long. And I want to say, was that always the plan, or did you want it to go a lot longer or a lot
Oh,
shorter, should I say?
definitely short. So I wrote it. It was about it's actually about a 10-page script, and the rule is a page a minute. So as I was filming, I was like, yeah, yeah, we'll hit 10 minutes, don't worry. And then you get to the edit, and we had just under 20, 17. So we brought it down still. We got it to 15 on the dot. In my mind, it would have always been a short film. Like I had no plan to make it a feature, basically.
And I want to say, I don't want to spoil too much about it because
Yeah.
it's such a great short film. But could there possibly be a sequel to the short film in the near future?
I've had people ask me this. When I wrote it, it was one and done. And I feel like Tony and Helen's story, again, not giving anything majorly away, but it ends where it kind of ends. If I was to ever go back, it would probably be a prequel about the fisherman Marvin and the giant oyster on the wall, Annabelle, and sort of maybe a weird body horror rom-com for those two.
Interesting. Well, we'll keep so we'll watch this space, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just
Yeah,
say that. I mean, we've got a couple more minutes now because unfortunately, I've got so many questions I would love to ask you, but unfortunately, we ran out of time.
of
But
course.
I like to say, how can people get to watch the film then?
Yeah, sure. So obviously we're still doing its festival run. In fact, funnily enough, in Sheffield, Celluloid Screams Festival, we're playing there on the 23rd of October. We're the opening gala short film paired with a feature. Other than that, it's on its festival run at the moment. But if you reach out to me directly, you can get me on Instagram at Alastair, Alastair.train. And I'm happy to show people the film if they'd love to see it. If you're into prosthetics and slippery, slimy oysters, this is the film for you.
Alastair, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time. My final
Thank you.
question for you is what would you like to say to our listeners who is currently listening right now?
I'd say it's important to keep short film space alive. Like a lot of people just seem to think that, oh, a film is a feature. It definitely isn't. There's some amazing short stories that, in fact, I think are better than a lot of features. They're quick to the point and they can be very poignant. And I think giving local film festivals, small short films a chance is probably one of the most important things you could do.
Yeah. Alastair, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Chris, thank you.